Hey everybody, it's Elias here at No Talk All Game, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the locations for all the Lorestangers in Senua's Saga Hellblade II. Now the first one is in chapter 1 at the very beginning of the game. After making your way up from the beach and climbing the rocks, you'll go through this broken home, and the path kind of leads you directly to it because this is the game's way of showing you what they look like and what exactly, what part of the story they're going to tell you. And so this is the first one you find here at the edge of this cliff. And so it's kind of hard to miss. So this will be your first one.
Do not forget my stories, Senua. I am with you still. Out of hell you have come, and now find yourself in Midgard, the world of men. Do not think it any less dangerous for that. Your path has taken you far from home, across the boundless sea, and you must go on to the heart of this place, to the heart of man. You have seen how the Northmen journey out to conquer, and this is one of their lands, as icy dark as Niflheim, yet as fiery as Muspel. It has not long been claimed, and they try still to tame it.
And then after that, the second one is going to be in chapter 2, and it's when you're leading Thorgester towards the town here, the village, and you'll see these two huts on the right of the path here before you get to the town, and the Lorestangir will be right here in the back here.
The Skald's verse speaks of a man called Grettir the Strong. A strange and bloody life he led. And it happened in this land you have come to. Listen to his story, Senua, for it may in some small way illuminate your own.
Then going on to the third Lorestangir, there's one when you see this hanging person there. As you go through it, you're going to follow this path, and this is still in the second chapter.
The cruelest blows, they make us.
And you go up this path here, and you're going to follow towards the left here, and it's going to be hidden a little bit. This is the first one that's kind of hidden away, and so you're going to see this home here to the left, and at first it looks like there's no way to get through, but then once you pass this other hanging man that's going to be in this home here, you're going to make a quick left and then follow this path until you get through some debris.
It's hanging from above. Like a cow. What could do this?
After exiting, you're going to just follow this path immediately to the left here. And then you're going to go through and get to this kind of little muddy puddle area and then take an immediate left right there. And there's like a little bit of debris. And once you go under that, the Lorestangir should be right there to your right.
The Skalds say that in Grettir's time, a nearby farm was plagued by hauntings. A shepherd called Glamour was killed by some evil force, found dead in the snow, bloated and black. His body could not be taken to burial because he was held fast to the ground. So it was left. 3 days after his death, the body was missing.
Now the fourth Lorestangir is going to be kind of a little off the beaten path. This is the moment where I think they're called Drugers, are kind of summoning this giant, and you kind of have to cross this ledge here.
Down there. I can't look. Horrible. It's too much. What are they doing to her? Dragging her away. Taking her. No, don't come back. Look what they do to those who fight. They will do this to you. See you. They will destroy you even from them. Don't let them see you yet. It's not time. You have to get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. It's now too late to turn back. You can always turn back.
After crossing the ledge, you're going to jump down right here, and you're going to make a left and follow this path all the way. The lights are kind of leading you towards where it wants you to go, but then if you go off the beaten path to the left right here, you're going to climb this ladder. And then once you get to the top, there are going to be some there's going to be a little path to the right that you just follow all the way along that will eventually lead you to the fourth Lorestangir.
The Skalds tell how the revenant Glamour roamed the settlements, terrifying all those who lived there. Each one he killed, in turn, rose to walk beside him. Thus, evil begets evil. But the man Grettir was proud and overbearing, and thought the Droigar no match for his strength.
So then going to the fifth Lorestangir, after saving Fargrimr, you're going to follow him, and there's going to be a moment where he's asking you go to the village, and he goes off to the right. When you get to this pathway, you can make a left and then just follow the path all the way, and you should get to a point where it leads you to the fifth Lorestangir. And then this will be the last one of the Lorestangirs that are in chapter 2 of it. And then no worries if you end up missing some of these, because once you finish the game, you can always go back and they have chapters you can revisit or sub chapters.
The Skalds say that Grettir fought and killed the Droigar Glamour, but not before Glamour had cursed him. His strength would be turned against him, his deeds bring death and exile, and he would be always before Grettir's eyes, making him afraid to be alone. He saw all sorts of phantoms wherever he looked. And thus, people who see things that aren't there are said to have Glamour's eyes.
Then going to the sixth Lorestangir here, this is in chapter 3, once you get to this open space after following Fargrimr and Thorgestr, there's going to be this broken home off into the left. And the Lorestangir, the sixth one, will be behind this home. It's a little bit of hidden, so this is one you have to kind of look for. But you'll see this broken home right here. And you just kind of have to go around. There's probably a more direct path that I could have taken, but you just follow this path, and it's hidden behind some rocks and trees. And this is one of the ones that you kind of have to go looking for.
Skalds tell how, in the time of Grettir's kinsman Thorgrim, there was a terrible famine. No crops could be grown, and the fish fled the nets. It lasted years, and the people were desperate. There was no respite even in spring, since terrible gales from the north would rise up and set in for weeks. This is a cold and unforgiving land, Senua.
Then going to the seventh Lorestangir, this one, when you're on the hill after talking to Fargrimr, immediately turn around before going down. And you want to follow these two huts here off to the side and just follow this little pathway. And it's going to take you to the top of this hill in chapter 3. And you're going to get to a point where you see this little ladder off to the side. Just follow the path around. And at the top here, behind the home that's on the hill, you'll see the seventh Lorestangir.
That Thorgestr of Borkavir. What is he doing? Help. Not him. He won't help us. Like this.
In the time of famine, at the place known as Rifskar, Thorgrim found a huge finback whale, beached and dead. His neighbor, Thorfinn, had already found it and was in the process of flensing it. But Thorgrim claimed it as his own. Thorfinn said he would not give it up without a fight. If that's what you want, Thorgrim said, let it be so. And he launched a blow at Thorfinn, cutting off his head in one strike.
So then moving on to the 8th Lorestanger, there'll be a moment where you're solving a puzzle, the first kind of real puzzle with the two rock balls there. And you're going to get to a moment where it's going to lead you up a path here, and you'll see this markings right there to climb up here after solving the first initial puzzle of the game. And you see this little crevice, a little space right there, and you can go in between there. And this is where the 8th Lorestanger will be found. Just follow the path.
Say that the neighbors fought, armed only with the knives and axes they had brought to cut up the whale, even picking out the whale ribs to beat down their enemies. Thorgrim's men had loaded their boats with whale meat, but as they went to leave, one of their opponents struck Thorgrim's brother a fatal blow. And this is how hunger fates desperate men to come to blows, striking out against one another to survive.
Then moving on to the 9th, after the second pedestal puzzle, there's going to be a third one with 3 ball pedestal. Now you're going to come to this point here after getting there where you'll see a puddle on the right and the left.
Don't lose the thread.
After the puddle on the left, you'll see here, I kind of go back looking at the drop down. There's a puddle on the left here, and there's a small little path. You can miss it if you just go over to the left here, and you'll find some space here. And you go through there and follow that path up, and it will lead you to the 9th Lorestanger.
The Skalds speak of the time Grettir, traveling with some others, ran into rough weather and docked their boat on an island. They had not brought fire with them, and the merchants complained bitterly. Seeing a great fire blazing on the other side of the strait, Grettir said he would swim over to fetch it. He took off his clothes and struck out across the water, wearing nothing but a cloak.
Now, immediately going into the 10th Lorestanger, once you come down from there, you'll continue straight in the path, and off and to the right, tucked right here, is this little hole. If you go in there, if you just follow this path directly, it'll lead you directly to the 10th Lorestanger.
When Grettir came to the farm where the fire was burning, all was peaceful. By the time he reached them, his cloak was frozen stiff, and he looked like nothing more than some huge troll. The frightened farmhands struck out at him with the first things to hand, the burning logs from the fire. Grettir fought them off and got the fire he sought. But the sparks from the logs spread fire all over the house, and nobody survived the blaze.
And then moving on to the 11th Lorestanger here, when you're solving this puzzle within the caves trying to get to the hidden folk, there's going to come a moment when you are able to reach over here to the third piece, and you'll see off in the distance right here upside down is the 11th Lorestanger, and then you can find it right there.
Say that Grettir swam back across the strait, keeping the fire safe from the water. His friends applauded Grettir's bravery, but when word spread about the massacre at the farm, people took against Grettir. Nobody wanted anything to do with him, and when the news reached the Althing in the summer, Grettir was pronounced an outlaw. All doors would hence be shut to him.
And that's all the Lorestangers for chapter 3. Now it's to chapter 4, where we find the 12th Lorestanger. The first thing you're going to want to pay attention is jumping down in this puddle when you enter the cave. Head off to the right here and make this immediate right turn, and you'll find a little place where you can jump up to, climb up, and this is where you'll find the 12th Lorestanger.
Grettir, now an outlaw, took rest on the island of Haramsoy with a man called Audun. Grettir saw a great yellow glow like a fire rising from the ground. Audun told him it was coming from the burial mound of Kar the Old, who ever since he died had haunted the island, and warned him to stay away.
And that's the 12th Lorestangir. Now going on to the 13th. As you go deeper into the cave, you'll come to this moment where you create this bridge across. And what you're going to want to do is just go across it, and you'll hear the voice there saying you will fail them. You're going to see this small little cave, and you're going to go in there. And this one you can miss if you're not paying attention. And so you're going to go through the small little entrance here, and you'll see off to the right there's like a big abyss, almost just a drop. But you're going to go down a little bit and off after one more. Off to the right is right here. You can jump down. It's a strictly little drop down and climb up. And there's the 13th Lorestangir.
The Skalds say Grettir wanted the sword that was buried in Kar's How and would not be deterred from seeking it. He broke the mound open and started digging until he reached the timber props. By this time it was night. Audun warned him again not to continue, but Grettir threw down a rope and went inside the mound. No light penetrated it, and it reeked of death. But he persisted in exploring.
And that's the 13th Lorestangir. Now the 14th is towards the end of this cave. You'll reach a point where there's a cave with light and floating rocks around here. And towards the end of the path, you'll come to a little bit of a fork in the road, which we'll come to here in a moment. And you're going to want to, instead of following the path to the left where the light is, you're going to want to go to the right, which is right here. And then off in the right, tucked away, is the 14th Lorestangir.
Grettir found the sword he was seeking, Kar's loom, buried in the grave mound. He went to leave, but before he could reach the rope, something grabbed him from behind, and Grettir realized the mound dweller would not let his treasure go. The two fought ferociously until Grettir got the advantage and chopped off the revenant's head. But Kar's loom would prove his undoing, fated to be the sword that killed him.
And that's all the Lorestangirs for chapter 4. Now we're on to chapter 5. So here at the beginning of chapter 5, you're going to get to a little bit of a pathway that has a stream to it. And this is something to keep an eye out for. There, it looks like you can go in, but this isn't the way to get in. That's one of the faces, which I'll do in another video that you can find. But you see the ocean in the distance there, but what you're going to want to do is go up the pathway here, and then there's going to be a moment where you can turn, make like a little right there, and then you follow along the way to the left, and that will lead you to where the stream is. And if you make an immediate right, it'll lead you to the 15th Lorestangir, which you'll see there, and then off to the right, and it's there in the distance with the light behind it.
The Skald's verse tells how Grettir made many enemies with his proud and overbearing nature. Always quick to anger, his strength and fighting prowess meant that even the most trivial of quarrels met a fatal end. The kinsmen of those he killed or maimed were angry, and because he was an outlaw, no one was allowed to help him.
And that's the 15th Lorestangir. Now to the 16th. And this is when you first meet Astrider. And there's going to be this moment here where the field opens up as you're following her. She's telling your story. And you see in the distance there the 16th Lorestangir. And instead of going directly, there's this little path here that you just take that'll be to your right when the path opens up a little bit. And you go around and you have to go under this little rock formation. And that leads you directly to the 16th Lorestangir.
outlaw Grettir fled to the island of Drangi. His enemies knew he was there, but he was still so strong and fierce, nobody could shift him. Thorbjorn, first among his foe, sent his foster mother to see Grettir. She was a Seithkona and very wily. She enchanted a tree branch and sent it to wash up on Drangi. Grettir tried to cut it up for firewood, but his axe flew back and struck him in the leg. The wound blackened and festered, and Grettir feared his time was close.
And that's the 16th Lorestangir. Now, going to the 17th, you're going to come to a moment where you're trying to solve this puzzle of finding the symbols, and there's the middle symbol for the trident. Now, after finding that trident symbol, it'll take you to another path over here. Behind this shipwreck, if you go through the green mist, right directly straight ahead, and you follow it along to the right side, it'll take you to the 17th Lorestangir. You'll just go through these rocks, and then it'll lead you to the right.
Understand. Get up. Follow the light. There it is. What does it mean?
And then if you just follow it along to the right pathway, you'll see it'll pop up here with the 17th Lorestangir.
The Skalds say Grettir, wounded by Seithr, was now so weak it was possible for his enemies to defeat him. Under cover of night, Thorbjorn and his men attacked his shelter. They tried to disarm him, but he clung so firmly to his sword, Kar's Loom, that they had to cut off his arm to get it free. Then they used his sword to cut off his head, and the land's mightiest outlaw was dead.
All right, that's the 17th, and on to the final Lorestangir. Once you learn the backstory of the giant, here you'll see you're in this thunderstorm and you're heading into town to talk to Astrider. And once you once you're going up into the town, you want to stay a little bit to the left, because this one you can definitely miss. And so, because there's like two different pathways to take, and there's like a left and right, but stay towards the left.
Then you can destroy him. Release him.
And you'll see the giant there. You kind of want to go that way towards the giant.
She sees what he does. The constant storm.
The constant fear.
No sunshine.
Nothing.
No light.
But the torches are still there.
And so when you take this pathway to the left, I make a small mistake in the beginning going to the right, but I kind of quickly adjust.
They deserve more than this.
Where if you make it this far, you're going to miss it, because it's really easy to miss. It's back there, and I kind of recognize, I see it barely. And so I double back, and instead of going down that path, I'll make this left right here, and it leads you into the backyard of one of the homes. And then there is where you'll find the final Lorestangir.
You can. They need you.
As the Droigar glamour had predicted, all Grettir's brave and fine deeds brought him misery. So fate makes prisoners of us all. But it was Grettir's nature that made him fight the Droigar, and Grettir's nature that led to blood feud and exile. So what is truly our prison, Senua? Is our path ordained, and we powerless to change it? Or do we blame uncertain powers for what we ourselves ordain?
And that's the final Lorestangir there. And so that's all 18. Thank you so much for watching. Doing all that unlocks a third narrator that you can use if you do another playthrough, Senua Saga Hellblade 2. And I will be doing a second video on the faces that you can find, because those are a little bit more difficult. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.